You no longer need to translate word by word to communicate in English. You can speak with confidence, fluidity, and the best, without that locking that paralyzes the mind every time you try to set up a sentence. Yes, this episode today will show you exactly how to change that. But before we dive into this impact content, I want to invite you to stay with me until the end. You will discover truths that can unlock your speech in English once and for all. But before, let me tell you why this video is more than a simple class. Hearing practice is one of the most powerful pillars in learning any language. It is really listening that you start thinking about English. It is listening carefully that your brain begins to recognize standards, rhythms, and sounds. And over time, translate is no longer necessary. You just understand. You simply speak. Now, think to me for a moment. How many times have you started the sentence with I want, on? How do you say that? And got stuck? This feeling of frustration is more common than you think. Thousands of people face this every day, not for lack of will, but because they learned the wrong way. They learned decorating, translating, trying to force English to fit within Portuguese. And that doesn't work. I understand you. I know what it's like to dream of talking fluently, understanding movies without subtitles, traveling and communicating naturally, and feeling frustrated by thinking that it will never happen. But let me give you good news. It's not you who are in trouble. It is the method. And today, we will turn this key. This video is not just about technique. It is about transformation. It is about showing you that you can learn to speak English without having to translate. You will realize that English is already there, inside you, just waiting for the right time to emerge. And that moment, you can start now. Then take a deep breath. Straightens out there. Today's episode is just beginning, and he was made to you who has tried everything and never saw a result. For you who are in a hurry but also has patience. That is desired but sometimes feels insecure. For you who know you can learn, but you still don't know how to unlock it. And today, I will show you. Let's go together? If it's ready, I'm too. Now it's your turn to shine. But before we continue, answer me in the comments. What is the biggest blockade you feel when you try to speak English? I read everyone. And this will help us build increasingly strong content here. Speaking without translating is not a gift. It's not luck. It is not talent reserved for a few chosen. It is a process. It is a skill. And all skill can be trained. Now think to me, when you were a child, you translated from Portuguese to learn to speak? Of course. You heard, repeated, wrong. I tried again. And gradually he understood the words for what they are, and not what they mean in another language. The secret is there. Stop thinking in English as if it were a mathematical equation, and start living it as a new way of existing in the world. And do you know what prevents you from talking without translating? The fear. The fear of making mistakes. The fear of looking silly. The fear of forgetting a word in the middle of the sentence. This fear feeds the need to translate, because translating gives a false sensation of control. It's as if, upon resorting to Portuguese, you were holding on to a rope, but this rope doesn't take you anywhere. You need to release this rope. Speaking without translating begins with a very simple step. Listening to English every day, without trying to understand everything. That's right. Listen without despair. Let the sound of the language invade you. Listen to as those who hear music, without the obligation to translate lyrics by lyrics. Gradually, your brain will begin to recognize structures, words, emotions. You will realize that certain phrases are repeated, that some expressions appear in similar contexts. And when that happens, something magical occurs. You start to feel English. And feeling English is infinitely more powerful than understanding it rationally. Want a practical example? Take the phrase, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Translating word by word may even confuse. But if you hear this phrase in real contexts, such as movies, series, audio messages, it comes to life. You no longer need to understand every piece. You just know it means, I'm looking forward to seeing you. The emotional connection surpasses the literal translation. And that's why I insist, hearing practice is the real gold. It's no use just studying grammar. No use decorating lists of words. If you want to talk without translating, you need to listen intelligently. You need to repeat with intention. You need to make a shameless mistake. Speak aloud, even if it's alone. Repetition plus emotion. Natural memorization. Imagine now that you are learning to say, I'm tired. You can translate as I'm tired. Okay, But if you repeat it several times in different situations, with intonation, with context, like when you get back from work, after a workout, or before bed, you begin to incorporate this expression into your way of living. So, you never forget. And I know, sometimes it looks slow, but that's where a lot of people give up, because you want speed, want immediate result. But speaking English without translating is not a race. It is a new way of thinking. And thinking differently requires training. So my advice to you is, expose yourself to the English as much as you can. Change the language of your cell phone. Watch short videos in English with subtitles. Listen to podcasts while doing other activities. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Repeat phrases from your favorite movies. Say, good morning, instead of good morning. Call your dog saying, eat here, instead of come here. Small changes build great revolutions. And don't cover yourself so much. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is to be able to express themselves, even with errors, even with limitations. The child does not expect to master grammar to communicate. She speaks, she risks, and that is why she learns. You can do the same. From today, make a pact with yourself. Stop translating. Trust the process. Trust you. The more you hear, the more natural you become. And the more natural you become, the less you think, the more you talk. Now tell me in the comments, what are you going to start doing today to stop translating? I want to accompany you on this journey. And remember, if you're here, listening to it now, it's because you're already on the right track. Are we going to the end together? Now that you have come here, let me remind you of something very important. You know more than you think. The mere fact that you are seeking to learn without translating, being here listening to this content to the end, already shows that you are ahead of the majority, because most give up on the way, but you are here. And that already says a lot about your strength. Let's recap quickly. You have learned that translating word by word is an obstacle to fluency, that the secret is in the daily exposure to English, in the practice of intentional listening, and in the repetition of sentences in real contexts. He learned that speaking without translating requires courage to make mistakes, confidence in the process, and consistency. You also saw that fear is one of the biggest blocks, and that freeing yourself from it is essential to let English flow. You no longer need anyone's permission to talk about. You just need to allow yourself to make a mistake and follow. And now I want to give you practical tips to put all this in action today. The first is, choose a simple English phrase you would use in your daily life. It can be something like, I'm hungry, I don't know, or let's go. Repeat this sentence during the day aloud, as if living it. When talking to someone, think about this sentence. Say her mentally. Repeat with intention. This simple exercise will begin to deconstruct the habit of translating. The second tip is, listen to something short in English every day. It can be a song, a stretch, or even videos like this. Listen without subtitles. Then with caption. Then repeat the sentences. This is what we call conscious imitation, and she changes everything. The third tip is, create a moment on your day to speak alone in English. Yes, it may seem strange, but talk to yourself trains your brain to form phrases without depending on Portuguese. Start with what you see around you. There is a chair. I'm drinking water. I have to study. Simple, direct, but effective. And above all, be patient. You don't have to compare with anyone. Your journey is yours alone. The important thing is to continue, one step at a time. Now, listen to me carefully. You have the right to speak English with confidence. You have the right to express yourself, to learn, to evolve. You don't have to wait anymore. The moment is now. And if you really want to talk without having to translate, start today, even slowly, even if it seems difficult, because it is in the beginning that most give up. But it is also at first that your new version is born. You can. You can. And I believe in you. If this video touched your heart, if it motivated you in any way, I want to ask you two simple but very important things. You subscribe to the channel and leave your comment below. Tell me how was your experience with this video. This helps me a lot to keep creating content that really makes a difference. And don't forget to activate the bell to receive the next episodes. Because here, we learn English the right way. With affection, with motivation, and with truth. Thank you for being here. Thank you for not giving up you. We see each other in the next video. And until then, repeat with faith in your heart. I don't translate. I speak. You were born to speak English. And now it's just a matter of time.